Well, hi everybody, it's another Conversations With, and with me today is my good friend Richard Morchoe, and I'm delighted today because I have to be honest. I was browsing through the Sturbridge Times, aka Morchoe Gazette, and and I also came across a very, very interesting article, which I know happens to be very dear to your little heart. That you have an opportunity you read a book and did a report on a gentleman who talks about Afghanistan. And so I gave you a chance to really expound on one of your favorite topics.
Yeah, why are we in Afghanistan? The book was Fool's Errand, which quite describes what we're doing in Afghanistan. Why are we there? And it's by a fellow named Scott Horton, who I have a slight acquaintance with. And he's been beating the same drum for several years now, and nobody has an answer. But every now and then somebody says, we have to stay in Afghanistan. There's a guy at Brookings Institution named O'Hanlon. We have to stay in Afghanistan.
Well, you know what I found interesting? I know the president has been pulling troops back, which is great, because I happen to think that's a great idea. However, we're going to get out of Afghanistan, and I think there's 5,000. I'm going to take 2,500 out, but I'm leaving a few. Why? Bring them home. Can you imagine being a sergeant or a corporal or whatever in Afghanistan, and your buddy gets to go home and you don't?
This is one of the big failures of the Trump administration. There's a couple. He didn't get on the infrastructure thing. He never did anything.
No,
with
he
that.
never promised $22 billion for it.
Yeah,
He never did it.
He never did it. But also he promised to, what are we doing? We're bugging the Russians. What are we doing? Whatever comes into Syria will be worse than what's. What are we doing? So he promised that, and he did diddly. 2,500 taken out?
Yeah.
The administration, we have a discussion.
The thing that was bothering me was the announcement was, I'm pulling the troops out of Afghanistan. I went, yay. All right? First thing I agreed with him on. And then you read the little print, and he's not really doing that.
No.
It's like the wall. It's not really, Mexico isn't really going to pay for it.
No.
He's taking there's 5,000 approximately left. He's bringing 2,500 home before Christmas. Now what bothers me, he hasn't mentioned it since. And now my concern is...
They're not coming out.
Is he leaving them there?
They're not coming home. I'm not a betting man, so I'm not saying definitely he's not taking one out. But if you put a gun to my head and said, what's your bet? I'll say they're not coming out.
No, because he hasn't. That's the thing that bothered me. He promised before Christmas. Well, he's got 10 days to go, and nothing's been said about it. And I'm saying to myself, well, I wonder if they talked him into leaving him there,
Now, many times you accused me of being a Trump supporter. Well, not many times, but more than once, let's say it. What I was upset about is I think there was a lot of skullduggery in this election, and I want to see every legal avenue looked at. But I don't want Trump or Biden in there, but I'm going to get one of them. At this point, it doesn't matter to me which one. It doesn't matter. I'm on my way here and I'm listening to National Public Radio. National Public Radio, WBUR, National Public Radio exists so the inner party from George Orwell's 1984 can tell the outer party what to believe, not what to think.
Yeah.
God, they don't want them thinking.
No.
But there's a woman, and she's a book, Mediocre. She has a book. She's talking about a book, Mediocre. It's about white men are mediocre, and they're fragile about it. And I'm saying, it was tripe. I thought it was tripe. And then at the end of it, they kind of proved her point for her. This was so-and-so, the book Mediocre. Next we'll have Pete. Mayor Pete has been named Transportation Secretary. There's a mediocre white guy if there ever was one.
Well, I want to tell you a funny story about Mediocre. Like most of us, I had a wonderful, wonderful mother. And my mother never raised her voice. But anytime we needed to be brought along, she would give us a little story. Everything had a little story. And my mother one day said to me, son, she was challenging me to be better than I am. I think I was a B student, and she had gone to school. And the history teacher, Mr. Wiggins, told her, he says, your son is a genius. My mother looked at him. What are you? He got a B. He says, he could have had an A. He said, but let me tell you about your son. He's got an incredible memory. He hasn't opened a history book since the day I gave it to him. And I know that. And he comes to class, but he pays attention. And when it comes time to a test, 85. I can guarantee he'll get an 85. He doesn't remember everything I said, but he remembers about, 85% of it.
There you go.
And he gets it on this test. And he says, if he only opened the book once, he'd have an A. When my mother came home, and it was true, by the way, I could memorize things. Anyway, she came home and she says, son, if somebody is willing to settle for mediocrity, there's nothing you can do for them. And I never forgot that. She said, if somebody's willing to settle for mediocrity, there's nothing you can do. You have to have the drive to be better. And that's the story I got. So the interesting thing about mediocrity, that's what it is.
It is. But that's also what's in government.
Oh. I happened to be at the post office today, and there was 2 women there, and I got my Social Security thing, and I'm reading it, and I'm just saying, oh, wow. And the woman said, you okay? I said, yeah, I'm okay. And I said, what bothers me, I said, we have 435 representatives and 100 senators in Washington, D.C., and they each earn $184,000 base salary. And they get it. Every week they get paid. In addition to that, they have travel money. They have a staff that's all paid for by the government. They have the best life insurance and health insurance
And the barber shop there too.
And a gym and a swimming pool and a bowling alley. I said they have everything you can imagine. And they're down there, and right now all they're doing is peeing on one another, calling each other names. Then they go out and have a drink together after the session, after they beat each other up. In the meantime, we got veterans sleeping on sidewalks. We got kids haven't eaten. People in food lines, you can look at it, watch it on TV, begging for a little box of food. And I said, and they're down there, I said, now can you imagine if we stopped, if somebody had the courage to stop paying them? No more money for you guys, I said, until you get something done. You know how fast we'd have that?
Your head would spin.
In about an hour.
Your head would spin.
They'd have that thing written and done. And I said, they're down there, a bunch of fat cats. I said, and the people are struggling.
Well.
And I said, and that's the tragedy.
Now, New Zealand has just about solved COVID-19.
Yeah.
They've just about solved it. One thing that I think might have helped them solve it was their legislators cut their pay in half for the duration of the COVID-19 emergency. Do you think, you know what, how many heart attacks would happen in this country if the Congress of the United States cut their pay in half? I would need a pacemaker
but
so quickly.
The one who seems to be the focal of this is the majority leader of the Senate, Mitch McConnell, who makes about $220,000 because of his position. His wife is Elaine Chao, who is the secretary of something.
Transportation.
For another $190,000.
Pete's going to come up.
Yeah, he's going to take a job. But just before the party's over, His Excellency the King gave her a new job. She's on the board of directors of West Point or something for another $150,000. So it doesn't stop.
But that West Point thing, she's going to be doing a lot of heavy lifting there.
Oh.
She's going to be Oh, this is going to be so intellectually taxing that if she lasts, I don't know how long the term is. Let's say it's a
4-year term.
4-year term. If she lasts through that, she'll be so lucky because this is going to be such grueling work.
Oh, yeah. If they meet once
And I'm available for that job too. And Dick is as well.
I'm glad you take that. My hand is up. I'm in, you know. But you know, and we laugh and we talk about it and kid about it. But it's sad, Richard. It's sad that we sit today and they're down there in Washington arguing and fighting. At least they met for the first time in a month. And they finally seem to be getting somewhere.
No, they're not. I mean, they're getting somewhere, but not for the people.
No, oh no.
Because the CARES Act, I mean, it should have been called the Who Cares Act.
Yeah.
They gave almost all the money to the special interests.
Yeah.
Gazillions. And they gave what? 2,600. They made the money up. I mean, you know, they punt down.
Well, I mean, some of the companies that got money out of that obviously didn't need it, were major corporations who made major contributions to the campaign funds.
Of course.
I mean, one company got $10 million, and then they got embarrassed because it leaked out, and they gave it back.
Yeah, I remember.
Because they were so embarrassed that they got caught. Somebody found out about it, and it was on CNN or someplace, and they sent it back. But I mean, how sad is that? And then you got Charlie's Pizza Parlor down the street.
What's going on?
He's gone.
Yeah.
Your party's over.
And did you notice down in New York, my son lives in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
They're closing down the restaurants.
Yeah.
Even though Cuomo admitted, was it 1.34% of the cases happen in restaurants, and most of them happen at home.
The biggest problem we had in this country, and I saw it yesterday. I know you don't think as highly of him as I do, but the governor had a chart on yesterday and clearly showed the uptake.
I look at them every day.
And it's right after Thanksgiving. And he says, you know, you can argue all you want with me, but we've doubled since Thanksgiving.
So open the restaurants. Make sure everybody goes to restaurants, because that's not where the cases are.
Well,
it's at home.
I understand.
It's at home.
Well, not just the number of people who got together and partied and had Thanksgiving and traveled. And it's obvious that it came from those groups who did that. And so as a consequence, we have hospitals that can't, they're putting beds in conference rooms because they haven't got any room for people in some of these states. And now they're begging people to stay home for Christmas. I've already done it with my gang. We always had a big Christmas. Not this year. I'm leaving. My son-in-law from Rhode Island came up yesterday because I'm going up meeting my son from New Hampshire. They live way up in Conway, so we're going to meet him in Portsmouth. I'm going to give him all the presents for New Hampshire, and I'm going to give him the presents from his brothers and so forth. I'm the exchange guy. And I'm having Sunday. I'm meeting my daughter.
The clearinghouse.
Sunday I'm meeting my daughter from Situate down in Framingham. She's coming up to Framingham. I'm going there, so we can just exchange, make sure that my grandson gets his stuff. And Jen and I are going to have a quiet, nice a Christmas dinner, and we'll sit home, the two of us. Now, it won't be the same, it won't be fun, but we'll be alive. And that's the good news. You know, I mean, it's really simple. And I've got the VNA who come and take care of me. They see me every week. And some of these girls come in and they will be chatting and they'll start to cry over people that I had a nurse tell me the other day, and she said, there's a guy who was in the hospital, and she said he's got ventilators in, the tubes all over him, and we knew it was today or tomorrow. And she said, I went in to check on him, and it was going to be earlier than we thought. So I said, I went back and told the doctor, and he said, well, you know what, get someone to cover you, you stay with him. How long has he got? You know, she says, I don't know, he's really in trouble. She went back in and sat on the bed and took the guy's hand And she said, and he looks up at me with tubes in him and everything else. And he says to me, till the day I die, it was a Democratic hoax. And she says, and then he went,
Where did you hear?
and then he went, gone.
Was one of the V&A women
died.
told you that?
He died. No, it was a RN from UMass. And she said, imagine that, the guy is dying and he still thinks it's a hoax.
I'm not sure I really believe that.
I like I say, see, you don't believe people, and I do.
No, I don't.
I believe.
I better, you know, and Dick, there are people you
I know
don't.
that.
Dick,
I know that. But wait a minute.
there are people you see coming down the road.
I'm talking to a person who would not lie to me. Okay, that I know. And she was telling the truth, and she said she cried all the way home. She says, because what a shame that maybe if that guy had listened and worn a mask and washed his hands, he might have made it.
Or maybe he might not have.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, there's a Danish mask study that say they don't work.
Well,
Now, I don't know. I wear the mask, but I don't know. I just wish I did, but I don't know. And what everybody does is they take argument from authority.
is Thomas your favorite disciple?
I will not dignify that with a response.
I'm just wondering.
But
You're a very negative person at times.
wait a minute. I'm going to say something very positive now, extremely positive. I like the idea of the vaccine. And I think maybe it'll work, maybe it won't. But there is something that I wrote about in August that we should do. And the FDA wouldn't let it happen, which was rapid antigen testing. They didn't want that
They
happening.
brought it out yesterday.
That's one from Australia. But there's been a guy for the last few weeks from Harvard, Michael Mina, Dr. Michael Mina, and he's been beating, we can do this. And not only that, if we do it, we can end the lockdown within a month. And I think, I read his article, and I can give anybody,
Well, the FDA just approved one.
they approved one from Australia, but there's other ones too that are even better.
Oh, okay.
And they will come along. But if, I said this in August, we should have a Manhattan project for testing, because it's easier to do in a vaccine. You know what the fastest they ever got a vaccine was? 4 years from
Oh,
now.
I know.
So
That's why there's a lot of people who are a little nervous about this.
that's why we should have the testing.
The only reason I'm encouraged is because we don't have just one that's approved. We're going to have two that's approved, and that were done in record time.
Why does that encourage you?
Well, at least it's not just one of them. At least we got two now.
Now, what if we have two wrong ones?
Well, there you go again.
Well, I mean,
I like to think they're going to work.
I just ask
can't wait to
questions.
get
I
it.
just ask questions.
I wish I had the
And
clout.
Dick Vaughan gets mad at me when I ask questions.
I wish I had
Humble me.
I just wish I had the clout to get one tomorrow.
I'd
roll my sleeve up now.
You trust them well, and
Yeah.
I'd have nothing
Well,
against
I
it.
take it this way. I got nothing to lose. If the worst I'm going to get is a fever,
No,
a
if
sore
that
arm,
is the worst thing, but you don't know. That's the problem.
Oh, no,
we
they
don't
do.
know. People,
that's what they're telling you.
what's the? There was one Bell's palsy. You can get Bell's palsy from these. That's from one of them.
Well,
and they
Christmas
had to-
time is a good time to ring your bell.
But hey, Dick. Hey, you know what my son says to me when I tell a joke like that? Not to say it wasn't a great joke, but if I tell a joke, my son says, "Dad, keep the day unemployment."
Okay.
And Dick, keep the day unemployment.
Okay. The point I'm making is that I'm a believer. I'm a truster. And I can't wait to get the vaccine. I wish I could get it now.
I agree with Ronald Reagan. Trust but verify.
Well, Ronald Reagan also said this. Facts are very troubling things. And
Yeah,
he's right.
And you know what? If
he's
this turns
right.
out to be the greatest thing since sliced bread, I will take it. You know what? The first day in Massachusetts, they had the the Salk vaccine. I got it. I had, in our family by marriage, guy, a war hero, buried in his uniform, spent the last part of his life in an iron lung. His son had it. was able to get out of the iron lung, and by a vigorous program of physical therapy, got to be strong.
Yeah.
And so I know what this is. I mean, polio, you won't walk. That was something you wouldn't walk. You might live, but you wouldn't walk. This will kill you, the COVID-19. So I take it seriously. Don't think I don't take it seriously. But trust but verify.
Well, I always liked Ronald Reagan when he said, the other thing he said was, one of the things about the United States government is we are solving problems which there are no known issues, and we are creating miracle cures for which there are no known diseases.
And that was a great thing.
And he was right. You know, only the trouble is, these guys we got now aren't curing anything. All they're doing is arguing.
Well, as from the fiscal point, but I mean, you've got to say something nice about Trump, because there's Operation Warp Speed, which you are going to take the vaccine from, you think is working. I hope it is, but my general feeling is, I won't be the last person to take it, but I won't be the first.
Well, you're not going to be.
Thank
That's
you.
already happened.
Okay, okay,
You're all set.
thanks. But I won't be the second either.
No, we've already had that happen.
Yeah.
There's about
So
4,000 have already got it.
what can I
Doctors,
say?
nurses,
What can I
they
say?
can't
What can
wait.
I say? I'm into the 30 or 40,000.
Well, I'd get it today if I could. Can't wait. Just like I have to tell you, the first day that I saw the sign at CVS, August 27th, flu shot. Almost rolled my car going in there. Turned in, right into the pharmacy. Go ahead. And I told the guy before he put the thing in, if you hit oil, you get 20%, I get 80. Put it in.
I have never gotten the flu shot.
Really?
Yep.
You're one of those.
Well, I have quite a regimen of, I promote things like vitamin D3.
I take vitamin D. I take D3, B12, I take zinc, and I take magnesium.
Do you take vitamin K too?
No, I just take
Well,
those
Dr.
four.
Murphy, don't
Those-
sue me. He's
those-
not
those
telling you.
four.
Don't anybody take this as medical advice.
Oh, I take those four.
Take the K2 because it helps the vitamin D3.
Oh, good.
And
I'll take that because we don't get enough sun.
not this time of year.
No, not at all.
You know, every day this week, the sunbathing club has been canceled.
Yeah,
I never, why? I mean,
Yeah.
we had an hour sun on.
I don't know
No,
what
he
day,
didn't.
what it was. But the thing is that getting all the way back to what we started with was us being militarily in everybody's country,
Yes.
and that may be a stretch, but we're everywhere.
Yes.
And why we're still in Japan and Germany almost 100 years later is really.
Well, I know I'm not going to speak about Japan, but I will say we are afraid that Putin, and you especially, because you beat the drum that Putin was a terrible guy when a few maybe.
I think he's awful.
He is planning, if we leave, to go through Germany, go through France, land in Britain, take over the British fleet, what it's left of it, cross the Atlantic, land on the Cape, gorge his soldiers on all the clam shacks. Once they're done, they're going to the what do you call it, Mississippi, and they'll take over the country in a week. That's what you guys fear. That's what you anti-Russian
I'm
crazies
not afraid
fear.
for that. I don't think he's going to do that.
What do you think he is going to do?
I just don't trust the guy.
He doesn't trust us. We screwed him. He didn't screw us. We told Gorbachev we would never move NATO east. Not 1 inch was what Baker told Gorbachev. We looted the former Russia. The Harvard guys went over there. They should hate us. They have reason to hate us. And why don't you trust? I don't trust him. I don't trust. You trust Biden.
Now they just hacked all our security. We're supposed to have the best security in the world.
Don't you think we have cyber people tracking
Of course
us?
we do.
So stop complaining.
I'm not complaining. I'm just telling you what they did.
I would figure they did. They did it smarter. That's what we're angry
Oh, they
about.
outsmarted us.
Yeah,
They,
That's
we
what
we
we're
were
angry-
supposed to have the best in the world, and they figured out how to get in.
there you go.
Yeah.
No, I think we should withdraw from Europe and get along with Russia. That doesn't mean they're not going to hack us and we're not going to hack them, because intelligence work is intelligence work. But I think we should get along with them. Unlike you guys think, oh my gosh, Putin's the devil. Thank God we got an angel like Biden in there now. A saint, a holy saint. Saint Joe Biden.
Time out. Do you know what the Pope just did? He just started December 8th for 1 year. This is the year of Saint Joseph. And that was in recognition of our new president, Joe Biden.
The Pope can be infallible, but that doesn't mean he's sane.
Well, he did. It's a year of Saint Joseph.
Okay, he can be
So we have to
infallible.
pray to Saint Joseph.
He's infallible according to doctrine, but that doesn't mean he's sane.
Well, I mean, I just think it's a great idea to
Why?
recognize Saint Joseph.
Why?
What a nice guy he
Why?
was. Because he was a good guy.
But why? You said it was recognizing it in
Oh, I was just teasing.
what?
I was just teasing in recognition of President
Biden.
President-elect.
No, I mean I wouldn't be shocked if Pope is not
Oh.
on the he's not tethered to reality.
Well, it's all right. And so, we come down to a change in government. We have a new president and a new vice president, and I am still so amazed. And I have a lot of people in my life who I've met along the way. And some of them I had tremendous respect for, really thought they were quite sharp. And I've been looking at Facebook, and some of the things that some of these fellas that I really thought really respected, some of the things that they're saying and they put on Facebook, I just shake my head and said, wow, how did I miss that in the guy? It's one thing to be in favor of your team. I love that. I love spirit. I love people. You had a candidate. I know what it's like to win, and I know what it's like to lose. And I was in high school. It was drilled into us. Winning, winning, winning. And my 3 years in high school, we had 3 winning seasons. My junior year, we were undefeated in football. And it was great. But we also had to learn how to lose, because that made you a better winner if you learned how to lose. And I know losing isn't fun. And I respect that. But some of them are really surprising at some of the things they say on Facebook. It's scary. And I mean, threats, I mean, give me a break. It was only an election. The world is not coming to an end.
Wow, are we sure about that?
Yeah. I'm sure that 4 years from now there'll be another election, and whoever's going to run will run, and someone will win, and somebody will lose. And that's the way it's been for how many years now? 256.
Well, I agree with you. And one thing I really find bad about Trump is withdrawing from the nuclear agreements we have. That, I mean, we are, if you think Putin's terrible, that's one thing. But you've got to get along with the other nuclear power.
You have to.
You have to.
One guy pull a trigger, and we got a problem.
And so when people say, I don't trust Putin, like, oh, I don't know who I would think.
No.
Well, I want to know. I
you
want
got
to
the
know.
Iranians. You got the guy over in North Korea.
Iranians don't have nuclear weapons, but you know what? They have some very powerful and accurate missiles.
Yes, they do.
So Israel may be able to take them out, but they can hit Dimona.
Oh yeah.
They can the nuclear plant.
And then you got the guy in North Korea.
Yeah.
I mean, all he's got to do is go, and we got a problem.
But why does he have a nuclear weapon? Because we threaten him. That's why.
Yeah, of course.
Because you know what?
We
It's the
threaten a lot of them.
Saddam Hussein rule, the Muammar Gaddafi rule. If you don't have a nuclear weapon, the United States is going to give you a hard time. If you have one, they'll back off at least a little.
Yeah, well,
And that's the Kim Jong-un rule.
well, Richard, once again, we've come to the end of another spirited discussion.
Spirited.
Yes.
I'm glad I could keep you awake.
Well, it's not even that. It's just that, you and I have a lot of fun at this.
We do.
And-
I
and-
do. I know that, and I know you
and
do.
And it's fun, and it gives people some things to think about.
Yeah.
And maybe, just maybe, we convert one person to believe like we do, is come back home and stay here.
There you go.
And save the money.
In the immortal words of Frida Payne, bring the boys home.
Yeah, bring them home.
And girls, too.
There's another Conversations with, my friends.